Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Hymn and a History. I hope this week finds you well. I have a beautiful and touching hymn and history for us tonight, and it also involves medical history, which I love. And we're going to begin. This hymn was written back in 1903 by a preacher by the name of Cleland McAfee. And he was living in Parkwell, Missouri, and he was also a teacher at a local college and ministered to several churches in the area. And his brother had gone through a tragedy, a family tragedy, because his brother would lose his two young daughters to diphtheria in a matter of 24 hours. So they were grieving so hard. But the bad thing was, because of diphtheria, you had to be quarantined, so the family was not allowed to go to the funeral of his two beloved daughters. And, their friends and neighbors and church members could not come to comfort them. And so his brother was very distraught over this. He was thinking way up into the night, what kind of sermon am I going to preach at this funeral? What kind of sermon am I going to preach tomorrow? How can I bring comfort to the family and to my brother? And it was that inspired him to write this song. And I had heard of this song several years ago, and I thought it was beautiful. And maybe you've heard it too. It's called Near to the Heart of God. So let me tell you a little bit about diphtheria. It was usually called the scourge of childhood. It was spread rampantly among schools and among children. Actually, the spreading period for this, if you were not treated, was 2 to 3 weeks. And it was spread through droplet. So anytime that you talked, you coughed, you sneezed, or sang, you would spread these droplets in the air. Somebody would intake it in, much like COVID is today. And the worst part of this disease is that it films this grayish, thick pseudomembrane from the toxin, and it has that membrane that films over your nasal passages, your tonsils, your larynx. So you basically suffocate to death in this disease. It's terrible. Now, sometimes they would try to intubate, but this is, long ago, and they would do tracheostomies, and sometimes that would save, but you got to remember, the time and date that this was, that would provide further complications. And it wasn't until the 1920s that we would develop penicillin. 1940s was when we had the use of penicillin. The children would come down with a fever, and they would have no appetite, a sore throat, and this toxin that the bacteria produce would often travel to your liver, to your heart, and muscles and kidneys. So basically just shutting the body down from all forms. So let me tell you about diphtheria and how we basically overcame it. Now, thankfully today, our children get 5 doses of the diphtheria toxin in their vaccines before age 6. And what they did back then is actually use horses to help us. Scientists would take some of the toxin from the diphtheria, and they would inject a small amount into the horses. Now, the horses, the only symptom that they had was, low-grade fevers. And as the horses' immune system would react to the toxin, they would, of course, develop an antibody. And then the scientists would take out their blood. They didn't kill the horses. They just took enough blood from them to make a serum. And then they would take that serum and inject the individual with diphtheria to where they could get this in their immune system and make the antibody, or have the direct antibody into them and help them overcome it. So I thought that was really cool how scientists used it. So there's your medical history for the day. But coming back to our song and the McAfees, as they are tragically grieving for their children, his brother wrote this song, Near to the Heart of God, and he taught it to his choir the next day. And the choir went and they sang at the home of his brother who was quarantined. And so on that quiet night, as their grieving hearts were broken, this is what they would have heard. There is a place of quiet rest, dear to the heart of God, a place where sin cannot molest, dear to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. There is a place of comfort sweet, dear to the heart of God, a place where we our Savior meet, dear to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm sure that brought comfort to his brother's household that night. And I pray that it brings you comfort tonight in whatever struggle or grief, sorrow you're struggling with. I thought this hymn very much applied to our situation today with COVID and the quarantine there and the spread of it. I believe I heard today that COVID has now killed more than the Spanish flu. But we're going to get through this, folks. We will. So I hope that you all will be safe the rest of this week, and I will find you at the next hymn in the history. Good night.